Hear that? That isn't the sound of freedom ringing. That is the sound of the foundation cracking. For months, we have been told to trust the plan. We have been told that the adults are in the room, that the borders are being secured, that law and order is being restored. But what if I told you that behind the heavy curtains of the Oval Office, there is no plan? What if I told you that the people in charge are not playing 4D chess, but are actually panicking? Screaming at each other and preparing to throw the American people under the bus to save their own skins. The video evidence is undeniable. The reports are leaking out like blood from a fresh wound. The administration is not just failing. It is eating itself alive. And in their desperation, they are turning the machinery of the state A machinery that has just been supercharged with billions of your tax dollars inward. They are turning it against us. We are witnessing the beginning of the end of civil society as we know it. The Stephen Miller experiment has failed. But instead of admitting defeat, they are doubling down on cruelty, chaos, and corruption. It isn't just about immigration anymore. It isn't just about politics. This is about a systemic collapse of the rule of law, replaced by the rule of force. If you think you are safe because you are a citizen, because you pay your taxes, because you voted a certain way, you are living in a dangerous delusion. The beast they have created needs to eat, and it is running out of enemies abroad. It is looking at you now. Follow the money. It is the oldest rule in investigative journalism, and in this case, the trail leads to a terrifying destination. While you are struggling to pay for groceries while your rent is skyrocketing, and while your 4TUNK is teetering on the edge of a cliff, the federal government has quietly authorized a massive, unprecedented transfer of wealth. We are talking about an explosion in funding for ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and the border apparatus. The budget has ballooned from $20 billion to a staggering $100 billion. Let that number sink in. $80 billion. Where is this money going? Is it going to secure the border? No. It is going into the pockets of private prison corporations. It is going to the Geo Group and Core Civic. These are publicly traded companies. Their stock prices soar when more people are locked up. They have a fiduciary duty to their shareholders, too. Keep those prison beds full. Do you understand what that means? It means they have quotas. Stephen Miller and his cronies aren't just enforcing the law. They are fulfilling a business contract. They have created a market for human bodies. Justify in tizen dollars all a sing to billion budget. They need to show results. They need numbers. They need prisoners. And when they run out of undocumented immigrants with criminal records to arrest, who do you think they will come for next? They will lower the bar. They will change the definitions. Suddenly, a traffic violation becomes a deportable offense. Suddenly, suspected gang affiliation, which can be based on nothing more than the color of your shirt or the neighborhood you live in, becomes grounds for indefinite detention without trial. This is the industrialization of incarceration. We are turning the American justice system into a factory, and you are the raw material. They are building cages that need to be filled. And with order of $1 billion on the line, they will not let those cages sit empty. Your tax dollars are literally funding the construction of the prison that could one day hold your children if the financial corruption doesn't scare you. Physical reality on the streets should terrify you. We need to talk about Alex Prey. The mainstream media, specifically the right-wing echo chambers, will tell you that Alex Prey was a domestic terrorist. Will tell you he attacked federal agents. They want you to believe he was a monster so that you won't ask questions about how he died. But the BBC, an international news organization with no skin in this game, has uncovered the chilling truth. Alex Prey was not a terrorist. He was a man who, in a moment of frustration, kicked the bumper of an ICE vehicle. 11 days later, he was dead. This was not a heat-of-the-moment shootout. This was a hunt. Federal agents tracked him down. They surrounded him, and they put 9 bullets into his body. 9. Let's pause and analyze this. Since when is kicking a car a capital offense in the United States of America? Since when does property damage warrant a death squad execution without A trial without a judge, without a jury. This is the most dangerous precedent set in modern American history. It sends a clear message to every citizen: compliance is mandatory and resistance is fatal. If they can label a man who kicked a car a terrorist and gun him down in the street with zero consequences, what happens when you attend a protest? What happens when you post something critical of the administration on Facebook? What happens when you refuse to let them search your home without a warrant? The term terrorist is being weaponized. It is expanding. Today it is Alex Prey. Tomorrow it could be a union organizer. Next week it could be a parent shouting at a school board meeting. Once the government gives itself the power to execute citizens based on vague threats to authority, the rule of law is dead. We are no longer living in a republic. We are living in a police state where the police are judge, jury, and executioner. The Alex Prey incident wasn't an accident. It was a test run, and we failed the test because we let them get away with it. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of this entire collapse is not the policy, but the culture that surrounds it. Watch the clips of Megyn Kelly. Watch the pundits on Fox News when they discuss these raids, when they talk about tearing families apart, when they mention the suffering of human beings. They aren't somber. They aren't conflicted. There is a rot at the core of the American soul, and it is being televised nightly. We are witnessing the normalization of sadism. The cruelty is not a byproduct of the policy. The cruelty is the point. They laughed when they talked about Liam Ramos, a 5-year-old child terrified that his parents would be taken away. They mocked the tears of mothers. They dehumanized the victims to the point where they are no longer people, but vermin to be exterminated. Why is this dangerous for you? Because history tells us that once a society loses its empathy, once it starts enjoying the pain of the other, the circle of who is considered human begins to shrink rapidly. Today, they laugh at the immigrant. Tomorrow, they will laugh at the poor, then the disabled, then the political opposition. This is psychological warfare designed to desensitize the population. They are training you to accept brutality as entertainment. They are training you to look away when your neighbor is dragged out of their house. This moral decay is the lubricant that allows the machinery of fascism to operate. If they can convince you that certain people don't deserve rights, they can take away your rights using the exact same logic. First, they came for the immigrants, and I did not speak out. We know how this poem ends, and we are living the first stanza right now, if you think this is only a domestic issue. Look across the Atlantic. The world is watching, and they are horrified. But more importantly, they are preparing to retaliate. Europe is not sitting idly by while the US descends into authoritarianism. The European Union is preparing what economists are calling the nuclear option. They are drafting targeted tariffs and sanctions designed to cripple the U.S. economy in response to these inhumane policies and the impending trade wars the EU administration is threatening. What does this mean for you? It means the collapse of the American middle class. When Europe stops buying American goods, factories close. When the global perception of the U.S. shifts from stable democracy to volatile rogue state, foreign investment dries up. The dollar, which is already under pressure, could lose its status as the world reserve currency. We are staring down the barrel of an economic depression that will make 2008 look like a picnic. Inflation will skyrocket as trade wars cut off supply chains. Your savings will evaporate. The chaotic leadership of Stephen Miller and Donald Trump isn't just a threat to civil rights, it is a direct threat to your wallet. They are burning bridges with our oldest allies to appease a radical domestic base. They are isolating America on the world stage. And when the economy crashes, they won't blame themselves. They will blame you. They will blame you. They will blame saboteurs. They will blame the enemy within, and they will use the economic crisis as an excuse to seize even more power, to implement even stricter controls, and to demand absolute loyalty in exchange for scraps of food. Let's tie all these threads together. You have an administration that is fighting a civil war within its own ranks, Miller vs. Trump. You have a massive expansion of the police state fueled by an auditing $1 billion profit motive. You have a precedent for extrajudicial executions of citizens. You have a media apparatus that celebrates cruelty, and you have a looming economic collapse caused by global isolation. This is the recipe for total chaos. The government is terrified. They know they cannot deliver on their promises. They know they cannot deport 20 million people without destroying the economy and causing mass riots, but they have promised their base blood and they have to deliver. This is why they are panicking. This is why the leaks are coming out. They are trapped in a corner of their own making, and when governments panic, they lash out. We are entering the most dangerous phase of this administration. The competent authoritarians are gone. We are left with the incompetent, the desperate, and the violent. They are flailing, and every time they flail, someone gets hurt. There is no safety net anymore. The institutions that were supposed to protect us, the courts, the press, the Congress are either compromised, bought off, or too weak to fight back. The checks and balances have failed. You might be reading this and thinking, this is alarmist. This can't happen here. That is exactly what the people of Venezuela thought. That is what the people of 1930s Germany thought. Normalcy BS is the single greatest threat to your survival right now. You want to believe that things will go back to normal. You want to believe that this is just political theater. Look at the facts, look at the budget numbers, look at the bullet holes, and Alex prays back. The infrastructure for tyranny has been built, the funding has been secured, the legal justifications have been written, the personnel have been radicalized, the switch has been flipped. The chaos in the White House isn't a sign that they are stopping, it's a sign that they are losing control of the beast they unleashed. And a beast out of control doesn't distinguish between friend and foe. Stephen Miller may be on the chopping block, but the machine he built is self-sustaining now. It demands victims, so ask yourself when the economy crashes. When the streets are filled with militarized police looking to meet their quotas, when the neighbors you grew up with are labeled enemies of the state for disagreeing with the regime, what will you do? Will you keep your head down and hope they don't notice you? History teaches us one undeniable lesson. In a system like this, eventually everyone becomes a target. The list of safe people gets shorter every single day. The warning signs are flashing red. The sirens are blaring. The storm isn't coming. It is already here, battering down the doors of our democracy. The question isn't if they will come for you. The question is, will you be ready when they do? Don't say you weren't warned. The nightmare has begun.